Okay, I want to talk about offensive line. And you know what? I always say, the people that click on these videos in the offseason, these are the true football fans here, right? It's the offseason, it's July, we're talking offensive line, and you're still watching this video. Hats off to you. Let's talk some offensive line. Let's have some fun here. So what is the Lions offensive line? I'll put the five guys on the screen, the five players who I am projecting to be the starter. There is some question about how exactly they'll do the interior. I'm going to guess this is what they'll start off with. So it's from top down, is from left to right. Taylor Decker, the left tackle. What is interesting is that if this is what they do, technically 3 of the 5 starters will be different with an asterisk. The asterisk is Graham Glasgow, the guy who I projected for center. He played guard last year for the Lions, except for one game. And in fact, let's start off with him when we're going to go through the film and talk about each of these players. So you see he is on this play. He's going to be running a double team block, getting up to the off-ball linebacker after helping out the double team at the line. So for Glasgow, he is replacing Frank Ragnow, who is like an awesome center. He retired kind of unexpectedly in this offseason, but he's been fantastic. In this game, we saw Glasgow fill in for him at center. He was usually playing guard. As you see, he's going to, the double team kind of goes a little bit, really, the guy who's supposed to get double teamed moves a bit further to the right than he was expecting, takes him a step too far in that direction, still has a chance to get back and make this block, but ultimately isn't able to get over there, isn't able to fully make that block. Listen, I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's a fine player, but he isn't Frank Ragnow. Frank Ragnow always made these plays, and I do think that is one of my big concerns about the Lions entering this season, is so much of the Lions' DNA was predicated on their run game last year. When you get rid of a guy who was instrumental in that could hurt. And I think the question is that I have as well is you have 2 new guards now with, instead of an elite center, an okay center. How are they going to hold up? Because we can go over here to the left guard, the guy I'm expecting to play left guard, although he's playing right guard on this play, so we'll see. Christian Mahogany right here has a one-on-one block. So again, you might be wondering, I thought you said it's a new guard. He seems to be in here. He played 2 games last year. He was a backup who came in and played 2 games. Actually played pretty well in those 2 games if you look at PFF grades and stuff. But I would put a slight asterisk, because watch how when you see him on this play, very quickly, there is help, right? Frank Ragnow is a superstar level player. He just is. You see how he's getting over, and just this is why when people say sometimes it's easier for a guard to play well when they're next to a good tackle and good center, this is kind of how, because the gaps just get so much smaller. At this point, you're essentially just standing where you're at, and you just have to hold on. You don't have to worry about getting beat by moves to the side, because there's no real space here. With Ragnow maybe not being there and they're not being as good of a center play, will just be harder on Mahogany. That being said, he did still play very good in this game, but again, he was a 6th round pick for a reason. We'll see if he's actually going to play well. It's a concern I have, and it'll remain to see on what exactly happens. Also, let's talk about the other new guard. Yes, we're doing college tape because this was a college player. Tate Rattel is the player that they drafted in the 2nd round. You see on this play, it's going to be a double team block against a interior defensive lineman. Rattel will end up be the guy who gets up to a linebacker. As you see, he's going to do a pretty good job on this play. You watch him play, you don't see a ton of highlights. That's part of why he was a late 2nd round pick, but you also see him pretty consistently be able to make plays and not be a guy who is getting beat badly too often. Even his losses tend to not be bad. He does a good job getting in position. As you see, holds off the block well. A running back gets through the gap. Good play by Rattel. Now, we can also talk about, again, some stats with him. There's not really a ton of stats that you can look at with offensive linemen. We'll use PFF grades, which everybody loves and nobody has any issues with. Hey, I do have to say, these do translate really well to the next level. Guys who have high PFF grades tend to be really good NFL players. I've done studies on it. It does seem to be a real thing. His numbers aren't great for a NFL level prospect. Good college player, not elite college player, specifically when it comes to pass block. I think they got him more because they like his run blocking. Even though the grade is actually lower, that tends to be the case. College players tend to have higher pass block grades than run block grades. That's a kind of weird thing. But ultimately, I do think the tape is better than what this chart would show for you. I think he should be okay, although again, I mean, I can't help but think about the Kansas City Chiefs last year, who tried to put Kingsley Sumatea, a late second-round pick, at left tackle, thinking, hey, it'll work out, and then it was a disaster, and probably the reason why they didn't win a Super Bowl, or at least a reason why they weren't able to win that Super Bowl, was because they had a bad offensive line. But okay, I'm being doom and gloom. Let's go over here. Let's talk about the positive of all positives in this situation. They have Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker at left and right tackle, and these guys will help out in the run blocking game, but that's not the exciting thing about them. You are still going to have an offensive line that should be able to pass protect very well, because most pressure comes from the edge. Watch how on this play, while Sewell had some help, he didn't need it. He's blocking the guy off screen at this point to the left because he's the right tackle and the offense is facing us. But you see, there is just, I mean, Jared Goff can do whatever he wants in this pocket, and that is still the exciting thing if you are a Lions fan. Yes, you just have to think, with 3 new offensive linemen, the running game could be, again, two new offensive linemen and 1 changing positions. The running game up the middle might have some issues, but you still have these types of pockets. I mean, you see Jared Goff, again, plenty of time to throw this football. So, like, that's what you're looking at. And that is the clear benefit. Is it's hard to call any offensive line bad when they have maybe the best tackle tandem in all of football. So ultimately, like, I guess, what is the end of this discussion? Where do we go from here? Listen, I just, you look at on paper, I think Glasgow will be fine at center, but I do think that having fine instead of great at center does make me concerned at both of the guard positions. Again, we have a 6th-round pick and a late 2nd-round pick at those 2 positions. There is some concern there, and I think Glasgow just going to have to step it up, maybe have to have a bigger role than we're used to seeing. In pass protection, though, I think they'll be fine. Unless Mahogany or Rattledge are just awful, which is, again, possible. They are unknowns, but I don't think that'll happen. I think they will be fine when it comes to pass protection because of how good their tackles are. I do just wonder, are they going to be as good as they were running the ball this next year? Because, again, they were, like, amazing last year. I'm not talking about them as will they still be able to run the ball or will they still be able to pass protect, because, of course, they'll still be able to do it. This isn't a bad offensive line, but it's just not what it was, which was awesome last year. And because of that, I think you have to say, okay, other guys are going to have to step it up. Do Decker and Sewell have to do more work? Are they going to have to use their running backs more, which they don't love to do because Gibbs is much more of a runner than he is a pass protector, right? And then, is Goff going to have to just move around a little bit more? Something he doesn't love to do, but maybe he's just going to have to step it up and do it. Or are the receivers going to have to just make sure they get open a little bit quicker and they can't run these long developing plays? And now they have a new offensive coordinator as well. So it's just really fascinating how all of this is going to go. I'm very interested in seeing what happens. So yeah, again, as I mentioned earlier, if you're watching this, you're a true football fan. But I think this is a very interesting dynamic. I don't think this is just something that only the diehard football fans will watch. I bet some this is a conversation I think even casuals would be interested in because of, again, how important this is to the Lions. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree that there are some concerns, but ultimately they'll still be okay? Or do you think it's bigger than I'm letting on? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. Of course, as always, thanks for watching.